Welcome everyone to Kitchen Innovation, where you'll find new ways to cook traditional food, or any kind of food for that matter, through simple techniques, methods, recipes, cookware and appliances you may already have or been thinking about getting, and using them to their fullest potential at home to prepare and cook delicious meals, such as a quick, simple, yet effective aging process that leaves brisket with that rich, delicious, and intense beef flavor that only comes from dry aging. You can get that flavor in about half the time with this method, and still retain all the tenderness and juiciness you expect from a beef brisket. This is a cut from the flat end of a portion of brisket, trimmed with about 1/4 inch of fat left on the bottom, great for slicing as a dinner or to make sandwiches. First, let's take a bag from the vacuum seal roll and lay it out on the countertop after sealing one end. Then pour some kosher salt at the sealed end as you see here. Leave some space and place the brisket in the middle of the bag, leaving plenty of space at the other end. Now pour some more kosher salt in a paper towel. Roll it up and tape it closed to keep the salt in place. We will then place it inside the bag just after the brisket, again leaving some space in between. Hang the salt from the sealed end over the edge of the countertop like so, and insert the other end into a vacuum sealer and seal it, removing all of the air from the bag. This is how it should look after sealing. Next, we will place the bag in the refrigerator with the brisket part of the bag on top of a bowl, or any container big enough to hold the brisket, letting the two salt ends of the bag hang free over the sides. This allows the salt to draw out the moisture and gravity to keep it away from the brisket, so you won't get an overly salted taste that you have to wash away. You can already see the moisture being drawn into the salt. We will then leave it to cure for about 1 to 2 weeks in this part of the process. This is the beef brisket after 2 weeks, but even after a week we'll still have a lot of the moisture removed. I left the first side without the paper towel so you could easily see the effect of the curing process. But you can wrap both sides, which will allow you to see the reddish myoglobin that is drawn out of the meat, like it is here. The side without the towel still has quite a bit of moisture collected within the salt, as you can see in the clumps left inside the bag, but the myoglobin is still a little harder to see. After we remove the brisket from the bag, we will then rub it with fish sauce on all sides. This will give it a great aged flavor and also helps in the aging process. The next step is to wrap it completely in cheesecloth, making sure to cover all sides completely. We will then place it in the freezer for about 4 hours to thoroughly freeze it. This part of the process sublimates the water particles after ice crystals are formed, leaving behind many small pores, which increases the surface area of the meat and exposes more tissue to the air without any mold, significant shrinkage, or toughening of the meat. Also, these gaps allow for smoke to be absorbed into the meat during a slow smoke barbecue, adding an extra dimension to the flavor profile. Once it has been frozen completely, we will then place it on a rack just above a layer of kosher salt, which can further draw out any remaining moisture as it thaws and dries in the refrigerator, like you see here. During this time, you may notice the fish sauce smell absorbed by the cloth, but afterwards the meat shouldn't retain any fishy smell. I have also sprinkled a bit of dry active yeast over the salt in order for the meat to pick up an extra flavor as it dries, mimicking the flavors you might get with other meats, which are often dried together in a walk-in refrigerator full of aging beef. But this is just an idea. You don't need it for this step in the process. We will leave it in the refrigerator for 4 days, allowing it to thaw and further dry. When the 4 days are up and we have completely removed the cheesecloth, just look at that dark, rich mahogany color that it presents. You can also see how dry and rigid the meat is. It may appear and feel to be still frozen, but it has thawed for 4 days in the refrigerator, and it is only dried to this consistency. It will still cook to a tender, juicy, and delicious flavored cut of brisket you would always expect. As you can see, the remaining salt on the tray has collected more moisture from the meat as it dried further in the refrigerator. Using this method, you can slow smoke the brisket, oven roast, sous vide, slow cook, pressure cook, or any combination of these methods based on your time, space, and budget. But this process ages the meat in about half the time of traditional methods, and still retains that great, intense, concentrated beef flavor you get with dry aging. And it works with all types of beef cuts, ribs, roasts, steak, any kind of meat that is usually dry aged. If you would like to learn how to smoke a brisket in a convection oven, check out my other video, How to Turn Your Convection Oven into a Smoker, which is available on this channel and linked in the description. I hope this method will turn out as good for you as it did here, and you get a great result, such as many tender, juicy beef brisket meals to be enjoyed in years to come. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more kitchen innovation.